Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to my video for how to do a SuperDuo netted rope bracelet. This is a super easy stitch. I do have a diagram for you, link in the description, but you really won't need it. This is so easy. It's basically just netted rope, but we use SuperDuo as one of the step-up beads. So if you know netted rope, you'll immediately recognize what we're doing here. We're just doing it with a 2-hole bead. It adds one little step, and it works beautifully. Super gorgeous on SilverSilk. So what you see here is a leather knitted chain with a beautiful findings that I got from SilverSilk and more. I'll link you to all these in the description. And then there's my beautiful netted rope that I created just as a nice bracelet. It's very flexible, has lots of bend to it. You could even make earrings of like a big statement earring because of how bendy they are. You'd be able to get them into a nice tight hoop. You could make this into a bangle, meaning you could just connect it all the way around. You can tie this on stretchy cord. And there's so many beautiful things you could do for this. And a necklace length would be very beautiful too. So lots of ways you can make this design something very, very special. And I do believe that this will fit on other chains besides the knitted leather. So try pipe chain, capture chain, pearlesque chain, all of them are going to work in this design. So for the beads and the thread, I am using a mix of SuperDuos, and I'll put links in the description to everything I'm using, but this is a bag of duet mixes. And it was a little value pack that I found from Beadsmith that I thought was super, super cute and cool. And I paired it with a metallic iris, 11O, metallic green iris. So that's what you see on the mat here that I'll be working with. That's what I used to make this one. And the thread I'm using is Fireline. I'm using a 6-pound Fireline with a size 10 hard beading needle. And that's pretty much all you'll need to get started. When we get to the end, I'll introduce findings. I did use some of the beautiful SilverSilk findings to finish it and some tools. We'll talk about that when we get there. But for now, all you need is some beads and some thread. And if you do have handy your pipe chain, leather knitted chain, whichever chain you're putting it on, you can work on your chain or you can work off your chain. Both methods are going to work. It's sometimes helpful to get started on the chain, but I feel like I can make it work either way. So let's dive in. I'm going to just bring the big screen up for you guys to see by itself and another quick view of the bracelet. And so I've been kind of playing around with how to get started. I wanted to give you just a quick heads up that there's more than one way you could start this design. If you're making a bracelet, you could do the 3-bead start that you see here. You could also add that at the end when you're finishing it, which is what you'll have to do on the finishing end anyway. But the reason you may want to start it the way I'm going to show you initially is because if you want to work back from your tail, let's say you want to make a necklace, it's going to be super long. You can cut a double wingspan, leave half that length as a tail, and you can work back from that point, save you adding thread one time. That said, if you're just doing a bracelet, you probably don't need to worry about it, and you can just do the 3-bead start. So let me explain what that is and how that looks. The structure here is basically, so here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 11O, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So in total, that's what you're going for. And now go back through all those beads. As far as your tail, again, if you're making a really long design, you can work back from your tail. If you'd like to just do a bracelet, then leave enough tail to finish another row or two and add the tightening finish on it. So you want to go back through all those beads. So bring your needle through all of them. Pull that to tighten. And when you reach your tail, so like what I've got right here, go ahead and go back through the SuperDuo as well. It's this one right here. And pull that tight. So you're going to have this so far, this little 6-bead start. And you can go back around to tighten it one time. I might do that actually. Just pause really quick. So there you have your tail thread coming out of one side and your working thread coming out of one side. I just made a trip around and exited right from that same spot just to keep that a little bit tighter. Because the next step we're going to start building. So go ahead and do a step up. So you want to go through the outer hole of the SuperDuo you're exiting. And from here, you're going to pick up a repeat of 11O, SuperDuo, 11O. skip the next SuperDuo bead, and go through the one right after it. Try to keep each of these ones that we're going to do, try to keep them on the top, if either on the top or the bottom, but stay consistent. So in my case, they're ending up like on the top. Try to keep them there. And the best way to do that is just to keep your work a little bit tight at this step. We're going to repeat what we just did. We're going to pick up 11-0, SuperDuo and 11-0, skip the next SuperDuo, and go through the one right after it. And again, we're working in those outside holes. Hold everything tight and pull. We do that one more time. 11-0, SuperDuo, and 11-0. And then what you'll see here is we have one last SuperDuo to skip. And then we have the one we did our step up in, see? And we're going to go through that one. And that completes the trip around. So now what we have, if you look it up at the side, is we have what kind of looks a little bit like peyote stitch, but I'll show you why I think it's more of a netted rope in a second. I'm not sure really what to call it, but it feels like a netted rope to me because we're picking up net points. But from here, we're going to do a step up by going through the next 11-0 and the next SuperDuo. Those are the first ones you added in this ring, in this round. Let's go through those. And that'll put you exiting out of that SuperDuo, the first one we added. And you'll turn and make a step up through that bead. And if it's getting loose on you like mine, just pull it to tighten. So hold your bead and just tighten everything up. At this stage, you can tighten from both sides of the tail thread and working side. And it'll only be a little bit loose for the next couple of rows, and then it'll get a lot easier on you. Let's say you've got that. And now we're going to repeat. Just same thing again. Pick up 11-0, SuperDuo, 11-0. And now what you'll notice is you have some very clear up beads. So you're going to just go through the next open one, just like that. So it's going to look just like that. Here's another 11-0, SuperDuo, 11-0. And you see you have this next really clear up bead. And one more. Really clear up bead there. And you'll find that you're back in the SuperDuo you started from, and you're going to do a step up by going through the next 11-0 and the SuperDuo bead that's following that one. Pull to tighten, and then you'll want to turn and head up through that one. So that's really the only difference between like a regular net and the SuperDuo net is you just have that one extra step up. So you've already done this step up, and then you have to do a step up through the bead that you're entering. And after each of these, feel free to take your thumbnail, hold that bead that you're turning through, and just tighten. It really does make a difference in how the stitch like lines up. Together, let's do a few more so you can see it come together. See, I'm just picking up the same repeat. And really clearly now you can see that we just jump right into the next one. We're just going to go around. I'm sorry, I dropped that. There's one. Oops. And going through the next one here, 2. And let's head through. You'll see the next one here. It's this one. And then you can continue through the first one you added, which is the step up. And you just carry on like that. After each of these little step up turns, I do make a habit of tightening it, it does tighten up the entire row before it. Makes a really big difference. And you can see you're going to have those 3 SuperDuo sticking out as your up beads that you can just build into for the next row. And 3 there. I think if I hold it like this, it's a little clearer to see it. And those new SuperDuos might flip on you, so don't worry about that. They just kind of look like they're blocking the next place you want to be. You can just flip them outward. And here's one more. Right through there. Again, that's the one I just added. I want to just flip that outward. And so you see that we just did a whole row, right? And so we're going to do our step up now. And the step up is a 2-step step up. First, you have to go through the first 11 and the first SuperDuo you added in that round, right? You go through those. And then you want to go and make that second step up, right? By just going through the top hole of that SuperDuo, which puts you in position to add another row. And if you like what I was showing before about tightening it, you just kind of hold it, just tighten. And so let's put it on our chain, and I'll show you what I meant about finishing. We're going to finish this whole thing together. I'm going to just stitch ahead and make a whole rope, but now you'll notice it's starting to get a pretty tight fit on the chain. So if you want to continue to work on your chain, you could have put it on here even earlier. I just kind of forgot as I was demoing, but sometimes it can help with seeing the structure a little bit. You see how it looks. And then of course on this end, to finish it, you'll notice your threads exiting from that SuperDuo. Well, you'll just go ahead and go through the 11 SuperDuo, step up. And when you do that step up, you'll just connect 3, 3, 3 11 around, and you'll get that beautiful thing right there. We'll do that together at the end, but I wanted to suggest that only because if you were having any trouble getting started with this, alternatively, you can start by just doing SuperDuo 311, SuperDuo 311, SuperDuo 311, and then work from there. So there's 2 ways you can get going, and maybe that second method is easier if you're for sure not going to need to add on this side. The reason I did it this way is this gives you the capability of taking this tail thread, stepping it up, and continuing rows from here out, right? So that's more versatile, I felt like, but you could absolutely start with just 3 in 1 and 3 in 1 and 3 in 1, and then just, step up to that SuperDuo and start your 1 1 1, go through 1 1 1, go through. So it just totally makes sense from there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring this out to a longer length, and then we'll finish the bracelet together. And real quick, I just wanted to show working one row on the chain. I realized as I got going that I hadn't shown you that. So working directly onto the chain is it's really nice. So you can pick up your repeat here, and it helps, I think, actually with tension. See, because I can pull really tight and clearly see that connection coming together. And then I'm just going to add my next one. You have to spin it, and the only other thing is you just kind of have to be careful not to hug the chain with your thread and get hooked like around it, But if you're working flat on your mat, it's less likely to happen. I've just kind of been holding it up for the camera, so I'm more likely to get a little snaggy there. But so here's my my last part of the row here, going through that last SuperDuo. So you see I've got that building right on the chain right here. And then here's my step up, going through those 2 there. And then up through the second hole of the SuperDuo, completing that step up to the next row. And the tightening is just as easy as it was when we were holding it, maybe even easier on the chain if you kind of just hold the whole thing like this and just pull. And there it is. All right, so for reals now, I'm just going to finish it, and then we will put the closure and the finishing stitch on. All right, so I feel like I've got a pretty good length here for a beautiful focal on a bracelet. So I'm going to stop here and show you how to finish it. So let's do one more row together here on the chain. And then I'm just right here at that step where I'm going to tighten everything up. And I've got one more set of beads here to put on. So work that last row as normal. So just like that. And I've been kind of spinning the chain in my hand as I go, just to kind of get everything working around. So just like that. Here's my last SuperDuo bead. And bringing it through that SuperDuo. And there you go. You have now got pretty much the same thing going on at the beginning and the end of the design, where your thread is exiting from the SuperDuo you went through to complete that last row, and you have these loose end SuperDuos hanging out on the edges. So to do the finishing part of that, you just want to go ahead and step up like you normally would, going through the next 11 row, and the SuperDuo bead, pull that tight, make that step up turn through the bead. And if you'd like to do that step, just kind of hold the bead and tighten it up. It can't hurt. All right, and so from here, you're going to want to pick up sets of 3. And again, this is how you could start it at the starting side if you felt like if you knew you were going to only do a bracelet. So start with 3 beads and then just connect the SuperDuos. Each of them connect with 3 beads. I found that to be a really nice connection for the chain. But that said, if you were working on a different medium, or if you wanted to bring this to a point, you could go with less than 3 beads. You could maybe say just 2 beads in between each of these, and it would bring those SuperDuos into a point next to each other. Basically, even 1 would work. And then you could run beading wire through it, and it would have a tapered edge. But my edge, I just want to have good, perfect fit for my leather knitted chain. So here's 3 to go. And you see here, we're just going to go through the last open and connect that around. So that finishes your design. It's that easy. Isn't that cool? All you have to do is weave in. I often will reinforce this row one more time around though. So just go through all those beads. See how loose it is? It can't hurt to reinforce it. And so I hope that showing you all these extra little ideas can maybe give you a head start in figuring out if you want to start it with the 3 beads or if you want to start with the way that I showed in the video. I do think of starting it with just like, with the 3 SuperDuo 3s. I think starting it like that is actually a little bit easier, maybe, just to get the peyote going, the netted rope or the peyote. I'm really oscillating on really what to call it. I think I'm going to settle on netted rope because it feels like netted rope, but could be either, it could be either. It's an unusual peyote if it's peyote, but it definitely has that, upbeat thing happening. So what I'm showing you right now, I just kind of naturally flowed into doing a weave in. And so to weave in a design like this, you want to make some turns. And I'm looking at 2 turns there. To go through a few more beads. And let's make a turn on that one. Because these duets have a light and a dark side, sometimes I focus on making my turns on a darker side. I can't always accomplish that. It really depends in the work when you picked them up, what direction they were facing. But when you're stringing them, when you're working with them, if you string the light side, your step ups will end up on the dark side of the bead for duets. So that's just a little tip there. But I didn't, constantly make that happen here. You can see I've got step ups on some of my lighter beads. But there it is. That's it. So let's just go ahead and remove this side. I've got my burner here. And being careful not to cut any connecting threads there. All right, so that side's good. All I need to do is put a needle on my starting side and repeat that. And so your starting side will have, in all likelihood, your thread will be exiting Let me just flatten this end so I can thread my needle. Your thread will be exiting from the first SuperDuo you strung when you got started. So it'll probably be one of those. So you will have a step up waiting for you when you get there. And let me show that really quick. That is unless you started with a 3-bead start, in which case you're already done with this side. But I'm going to go ahead and go through the next 11-0, the next SuperDuo bead. Nice tight stitching there. I can barely get through that. So you see that? And now make your turn. Bring your needle up to the open side and then so on and so on. You just want to string 3. And there's 3. And 3. And there you go. So weave all that in and let's put on our findings. All right, so just to show how to finish it, I have brought out a bracelet board and I'm going to go for a 7-inch bracelet. So if I put my bracelet on to the board and bring my chain around, I'm going to cut right about, well, I kind of want to center it. So let's take a quick look at centering it. I'm going to need to cut a little bit off the ends of my chain to get the measurement that I'm going for. It's going to seem really short to you when you're trimming your SilverSilk. I often find that to be the case. And I think it's just because, you know, we're just forgetting how much of the structure is being taken up by the stitching itself and the finding. So when I put on my findings, I'm going to have the perfect size. I made this last one a little bigger than I'd wanted it. So I'm going a little smaller with this one. But definitely use a board. Use like a design board. It'll help you out. And single strand end caps is what I'm using right now to finish this design. And let's grab a jump ring or two. To attach your finding, I like to just go ahead and remove any of the extra little wires that might be present from when I trimmed it. And then I'll just go ahead and connect my beautiful little bracelet in there. And again, these are my nylon jaw pliers. Got those on there. Same thing on this side. We'll just go ahead and move it free. And there we go. All right. And jump rings. Here we go. Once I get this done, I'm just going to put it on and wear it the rest of the day. I love doing that, the bracelet that is for myself. And actually, let's see. I'm going to go logo side, logo side. Do you guys line up your logos with your SilverSilk findings? I do. There we go. Okay, there we go. Let's try it on. I get excited when I try on bracelets because this netted rope, even though it's super flexible, it is going to give you a little bit of a pop feature for your design. So there it is. There you go. Just bringing myself back up so I can say hi one more time and show you my netted rope bracelet. And it is very easy to do a necklace. Like I was saying, the start method I showed you will enable you to do that by having like a really long tail. And you can just build off of that. And then as far as like how much thread you're going to need, I do have a pretty good estimate in my head for that now at this point, as I made a couple. This one I had quite a bit of extra. And let me just show you a measurement for it. I did a wingspan of thread. So for me, 65 inches. And I had a lot of leftover thread. And I got 3 1/4 for length. So I would say I got that length out of about 50 inches or so. So this one right here would probably be the length you would get out of a full 65. So if I recall, I usually just go for a wingspan when I'm starting something that I'm not sure about. And I got 4 inches out of that. So 4 inches, 65 inches of thread will give you about, and that's with enough to do your weaving in and everything like that. So if you doubled that, you'd get 8 inches. That would be a pretty good necklace, I think, because of the way that the chain would go like behind your neck. So that's on my list of things to try. And I really would love to do more colors. So I have a lot of dreams happening here for this gorgeous design and more places that we can take it. But I wanted to say thank you for tuning into this video and remind you again, if you're looking for where to find anything that I've shown today, just in my description, I'm dropping every link I've got. Thanks so much, and I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.